One of the key things to focus on when evaluating a franchise concept are the unit level economics, but it's very difficult to understand those numbers if you have no concept about how the business operates or works. So in this video, we'll be discussing how our business model works, what the customer journey looks like, plus a whole bunch more. Let's dive right in. The best way to understand our business model is to understand the customer journey. However, prior to jumping into that content, it's really important to understand how we categorize our services. Recall that among all of our services, we categorize them into 3 different sections. This includes premium services, wellness lounge services, and add-on services. This subtle distinction between all these categories is important to remember when it comes to understanding how we onboard our clients. To better understand these separations of services, let's unpack the key differences between each category. Starting off with our premium services. This category of services is really the meat and the potatoes of the business. And that is mainly because they operate on a 99% net margin, meaning among all of our services, from whole body cryotherapy to the infrared sauna to dry salt therapy, they all operate on really just electricity. So therefore, it is really just pennies on the dollar to deliver each one of these services to a client. The other unique distinction with this category of services is that they all operate in private rooms. And that's an important distinction to remember because the next category of services represents our modern wellness lounge. And this is where we still have equally as effective services as the category just mentioned. However, the biggest distinction here is that multiple clients can be in the same room together. This subtle distinction allows us to achieve 2 key goals, which is number 1, added social proof for the business. The reality is even if you had a packed business full of clients, but they are all hidden in private rooms, front-facing clients that walk into a business for the first time may think it's an empty business. And they may start to question, why am I here? No one else is here, even though private rooms might be loaded with people. By having a lounge where clients can see other clients allows for us to quickly establish a sense of social proof in the business. And that is such an important factor when it comes to establishing first impressions. The other key goal with this category of services has to do with community engagement, or you could also replace that term with client engagement. In other words, we use the lounge as part of our retention strategy. And that's because the lounge is a space where friends and family can interact with each other. Think about it. If you've ever heard of Orange Theory Fitness or another boutique fitness concept like CrossFit, you'll know how explosive that concept has grown over the last decade. Some people might argue that it's grown because of the workouts. However, far more evidence points to the fact that these fitness models actually really drive a sense of community. Meaning, if you started working out at Orange Theory Fitness because your friend invited you, what keeps most people staying for the long term is the fact that their friend or family member is still there and they want to continue to engage in that community. And that's exactly where our modern wellness lounge comes into play for community engagement from a wellness perspective. It allows for a husband and wife to enjoy services together. And it is these types of relationships that people desire to keep, which just naturally helps increase overall consumption of our services. The last thing to note about the lounges is that while it's a lot of value add to clientele, it adds almost zero operational complexity to the business. And that is because it is primarily a self-service area for clients, meaning they can set themselves up with the equipment without the need of a staff member. So to quickly recap, the biggest differences between our premium services and our modern wellness lounge services is the fact that one takes place in a private room setting and the other takes place in an open room environment. Finally, the last categorization of services to unpack is our add-on services. And the objective with these services sounds pretty obvious. And that is because these services allow us to send clients into higher ticket opportunities while further enhancing their overall results. So now that we've clearly delineated all the differences between the categorizations of services, let's unpack our overall client journey. From a big picture perspective, it really follows 3 simple steps, beginning with number 1, the initial visit. We'd like to take our clients through a standardized first-time experience. And the reason is quite simple, because while you have seen that we offer over a dozen different services, most people have no idea what any of them are, and it's very difficult to deliver an amazing experience if clients come in on a variety of offers. Therefore, we standardize this experience with our first-time visit, which we like to coin as spa day. This spa day experience is 90 minutes long and includes 4 of our most popular services, such as whole body cryotherapy and the infrared sauna. By standardizing this first-time experience, we can truly over-delight the customer and move them naturally into step 2 of this process, which is to transition them into a membership. Obviously, there's a little bit more sales and strategy involved with how we do this exactly, but the big picture idea is that we commonly move first-time visitors from a one-time initial experience with us to reoccurring visits with us via a membership. And it is once clients are on a membership is where we move to step 3 of this process, where we send them into the add-on services that you saw earlier. From a big picture perspective, these are literally the 3 big steps that are involved throughout the client journey. If we get a little bit granular here, so you can see what's happening at a deeper level, you'll see very quickly that at the beginning of this, we use advertising on platforms such as Google, Facebook, and affiliate relationships with other local businesses in your market to drive what are called landing page views. This is where people will view an offer for the spa day and become a lead by entering in their information. Once they enter in their information, they'll be prompted to schedule their initial visit. From there, we move immediately to step 4, where they'll show up for the visit. And again, it's all throughout this initial experience where we need to delight the customer so that in step 7, a natural upsell into a membership occurs. The better you delight your customers and the more excited they are as members, not only will they buy more add-on services from you, but then they're of course going to drive more referrals your way. And so then the process just rinses and repeats with their friends and family members as well. So by now it should be fairly obvious that we are a recurring revenue business, meaning we rely on getting more members into our facility in order to become a profitable entity. To better illustrate the model, let's take a look at a company that everyone knows, which is Netflix. The reality is that Netflix relies on monthly users or monthly subscribers to become a profitable business. In fact, they built out a massive company with a lot of overhead to be able to produce movies, TV shows, and all the other things that we enjoy on there in order to provide a valuable service to the marketplace. But what do you think would happen to Netflix if they only had one subscriber? Well, it'd be fairly obvious that they'd be losing a boatload of money. Unfortunately, that's not Netflix's problem, because Netflix understood once it built a machine, it simply just needed to add more subscribers to it to be able to become a profitable entity. In other words, the cost for Netflix to go from one subscriber to the next subscriber does not cost them anything additionally. And that works even better, of course, when they go from one subscriber to 100 million subscribers, which is why they're such a profitable entity. So how does that relate to our model? Why are we similar to Netflix's model? It's very simple. Within our model, you require a certain number of members to be subscribed to your services at your storefront. What this means is, just like Netflix, where it costs a lot of money for them to produce the actual service of TV streaming, the same is true with a Rise location. There's a lot of cost that goes into a build out, into the equipment, into payroll for staff, and into software, for example. But eventually, once the system is built, then the additional fixed cost for adding new subscribers is incrementally nothing, which means within a Rise location, it does not cost you anything extra to go from 100 memberships to 110 memberships. And the reason is quite simple. It's because you're already going to have all of your staff there to operate the facility, meaning your payroll stays the same. You're already going to have all the equipment plugged in, meaning the cost there is fixed as well. Therefore, as you continue to add memberships, you eventually get to a sweet spot of profitability to where each additional member that you add gives you a 99% net margin. So what this means is that the profitability of a storefront that has 200 members versus the profitability of a facility that has 400 members is dramatically different. And that's because in 95% of all marketplaces, you really need about 250 members to break even on the operations of the business. And any additional membership growth after this comes at a 99% profit margin. This is why our business is so similar to Netflix, and the fact that the key to growth is all about having enough subscriber base to get you into the profitability territory. So if this is the objective, then you might be able to imagine that keeping your existing members is all the more important. So then, what exactly is the key to membership retention? What gets people to stay for long periods of time? Believe it or not, based on customer survey data, the answer comes down to just 2 key reasons. Number 1, clients care about the quality of service, meaning that the wait times are short, that we're responsive when we pick up the phones, that the equipment's not down, that it's easy to book online, various features like that. And the second reason is the people, or in other words, your staff. In other words, how much energy does someone feel when they walk into the building? How much energy does a staff member pour into a client? How well do they know each client? Are we showing that we truly care about each and every client that walks through our doors? And so if this is what the marketplace is wanting, and if this is the key to business profitability and growth, then how do we go about obtaining it? The answer is quite simple. It means that our franchisee operating partners are absolute studs when it comes to recruiting, managing, and leading a team. And this is exactly why our franchise development team will continuously be evaluating your capabilities as a leader, because it is in your best interest to ensure the best chance of success. Ideally, by this point, you should have a greater understanding of the general strategy behind how our model can operate profitably. While it really comes down to steady client acquisition and membership retention, there are a lot of things that have to go into place to make it a truly streamlined operation. In future videos, we'll unpack how we help you with these specific processes so you can run a successful storefront.